You.
Right. See ya. Welcome. That was a nice write-up. Good evening. We'd like to welcome everybody to the October Elizabethton City Schools Board of Education meeting. Happy to have everybody here. Now here's what I promised you guys. We're going to recognize you and then I'm going to let you leave. Or I'm going to make you stay for the whole thing. I haven't decided yet, but I'm leaning towards I'm going to let you go. And I'll tell you when, okay? If everybody would please stand, and Dr. Gardner is going to lead us in a moment of silence and pledge the flag.
Let's have our moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have several recognitions, and we have several visitors going to do a couple presentations this evening. But for the first recognition, we have the EHS Service Learning class. Chad Salyer, if you would come up and be recognized.
Hello? Hello? Okay. I really can't say enough positive things about this group of students. They've been very embracing and capable and competent, and have really taken this student-driven idea and ran with it. So they've came up with these projects, they've carried them out, they've seen them through totally to completion, and it's been one successful thing after another. And a couple times they came to me with an idea, and I thought maybe that's a bit ambitious, but I let them try. And time again they pulled it off, not just a little bit, but totally beyond any expectation I had. And first really great, to name a few things, our first really great project was the maintaining of the clothing closet, which is a program that gives free clothing to needy students at EHS in a totally anonymous way. And they maintain that. They go around and collect it from folks that donate, and they organize it and put it together in a way that allows those students to come in and get those items discreetly and helps them tremendously. Also, we started and carried out a plastic recycling program at EHS, so that began this year, and they've gotten a dumpster to be taken to the recycling center, and they go around and collect that plastic along with the paper recycling, which was already being done. And we've also had an art project where the students create homemade birthday cards for local nursing home residents, and they send those out and hopefully put a little positive experience on those folks' day. And then our most recent and probably most successful project was the animal shelter food drive, which was one of those projects I thought maybe was a bit too ambitious, but wow, did they do well. They went around and let the teachers know we were going to do it. They got together some incentives for the teachers and organized that and got that planned out. And then they went around and collected, and the final result was over 800 pounds of food for the animal shelter, several $100s worth of leashes and toys and treats, and then also a cash donation of about $75. And the lady that runs the animal shelter said the timing was very ideal because her stores were low, and she was going to have to make some very tough decisions if not for that additional food. So really can't say enough positive about these guys. They've made a difference in this community. They deserve this recognition and then some. And Hannah and Clay were the principal leaders of the animal shelter program, and Leandra is one of the chief people that's in charge of the making of birthday cards for the nursing home, and they're here tonight. If Hannah, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I would specifically like to thank Mr. Bentley's class brought in over 500 pounds of animal food, so that was amazing, and we definitely couldn't have done as well without his support. So especially thank you to him and his students.
All right. Clay, did you have anything to add?
I just want to say thanks to the board, Dr. Gardenhauer, and Mr. Bowman for their support.
Thanks so much. These guys have been wonderful, and I appreciate the board recognizing them.
Okay, congratulations. The next group that we have this evening is our T.A. Duggar Junior High football team, and Coach Burleson, if you would come up and talk with them. But we're recognizing them this evening for their 2017 undefeated season, so congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Gardenhauer. Just want to talk to you a minute about our football team we had this year. It's the first year in over 20 years that we've had a undefeated season, win the conference championship in the 8th grade. What was also so good about this year's team was our 6th and 7th grade team also was undefeated. So we had pretty much an undefeated season with both our teams, and our JV team has went almost 2 years. We lost the first game of the season last year, so we lost one game in 2 years. Had almost 80 people in the program this year. And, you know, you can't look at one of them and say they did not do something to help our team out. What I'd like to do is just take us just a second just to thank the guys for all the hard work and dedication you put in this year. It's been a long process for some of you. You know, 3 years, 4 more years to go. We talk about the 7-year process, and that's what we're working on. Also, we just want to, as a team, we want to thank the administration for allowing us and giving us everything that we need to do to have a successful program. We want to thank you, the board, Dr. Gardenhauer, Mr. Little, Mr. Carter, and we also want to thank our Touchdown Club. I think I see a few of you members here tonight. So we want to thank you for everything you've done for us this year, too.
Y'all will line up right here in front. We'll take a picture of you. Let's go this way, guys. Come right in the front. You need to cover us up is the idea. Keep on walking. Go ahead and move down. There we go.
Stand up, Claire, get the picture.
We should photo bomb.
We should.
How do you need to jump up and photo bomb?
That's what I was just told Claire.
And while they're up there, coaches worked. They talked about the children, but they worked very hard too. We also want to say this is just a special group of children. I think Mr. Van Huss and I were talking not too awful long ago about how special they are, and they are great kids.
Thank you. And you guys can go. Thank you all. But you're welcome to stay. It's super exciting. And we have no takers.
I parked illegally, I'm sure.
You can take a 5-minute, everybody repark your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's plenty of places to park. I know. I said we should recess and let everybody park.
I'll pick up the rest of you if you just wait.
right. Now for all the good stuff, but there's still lots more. Okay, time for citizens to speak in accordance with Board Policy 1.404. We had one person request to be added to the agenda tonight, so Crystal Carter, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'll try not to take up too much of your time. The first thing I want to do is give an invitation to you guys. We have our Celebrity Bagger event that's coming up, and I think except for you, because I don't think you're 18 yet, but the rest of you are more than welcome, and we would love to have you as Celebrity Baggers at either the Piney Flats or the Elizabethton Food City. That is coming up on November the 21st. And I am taking volunteers until November the 3rd, so you can just get in touch with me by calling the United Way office or emailing me at the United Way office. If I haven't met some of you yet, my name is Crystal Carter. I'm the new director of the United Way. I'm the Community Impact Coordinator. And I'm here tonight to first say thank you, because you guys have given us unending support at the United Way. When I made the call to be on the agenda, it was just maybe a couple of days later that I got a call with a contact person and somebody who wanted to run the campaign, so we really appreciate that with the school system. I want to show you a little video, if we can go ahead and show that.
Wrong video.
I think that's the wrong video.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My video was sent in a couple of weeks ago via email. That's okay. Is it at all possible to go to the United Way Facebook page? And it's on there. And while you're pulling that up, I'll go ahead and continue, because I know that a lot of things that I've heard is about community, and I know a lot of things that you hear is about outcomes. So I want to share with you an outcome that is from where I'm from. And I'm from a small town in Southwest Virginia, and to be quite honest, we have a very similar county region makeup, except for I'm in the middle of coal country. We have a lot of the same crises, including opioids, that are going on there. I wanted to tell you Nancy, and Nancy I went to school with, and Nancy was a girl who wore Coke bottle glasses, and she had curly, kind of unmanageable hair, and so they deemed her slow very early on. And she was the daughter of an alcoholic, so she went to school with that. She ended up falling behind in school, and she didn't have the resources that she needed because Dad was an alcoholic, so she ended up not having clean clothes. So, of course, she ended up with Coke bottle glasses, no clean clothes, and untamed hair, being bullied. She was bullied in school so much she began to hate it and acting out. And of course, she flew out of high school, didn't want anything to do with college. I ran into Nancy because she called me in Johnson City a couple of years ago, after being homeless for some time, asking me if I would go through my cupboards and cabinets, because she knew I lived in Johnson City, and bring what I didn't want or need to her. And I did. And I've kept in touch with her, and there have been issues of domestic abuse. There have been issues on down the line. These are the outcomes if we don't take health, education, and financial stability serious early on. We start them early, and we keep it going. And that's what we do at the United Way of Carter County. Are we still working on it, or do we have it pulled up? The United Way of Elizabethton, Carter County. When you scroll down, you'll see the video. It should be the very last thing I posted. It's okay. On Facebook, the United Way of Carter County. I'll just continue until you're ready, and you can let me know. On Facebook? That's the problem. I can't get there. Nancy's story is not unlike things that I'm sure that you've heard. Within the school system, this child or that child that now has grandma raising them or something. And I think sometimes the United Way gets a little misunderstood because some people think we just fund other projects, but our hands are really into a lot of projects in Carter County, and I wanted to highlight a few of those. Just the output that we're giving to the community. The first surprise that I had, and it's probably one of the quickest because I've been here all of 5 weeks and 3 days, not that I'm counting, but I stepped in right before we launched our campaign, and the first thing that I was surprised to learn was that in Carter County, Little Milligan still does not have clean water. I'm not really sure why it shocked me so much, but it just kind of took me aback when we were talking and they said, well, we could put a water refill station at Little Milligan and people could come get water and they could fill up their tanks and that way the children could have water. And I thought, I didn't even know it was possible living right next to Elizabethton that you would think that someone doesn't have clean water. But that's what we're going to do. With Grow Carter County, we've partnered with them to be their fiscal partner, and that's going to be going up in the next few months. I got the grant check last week, so we're going to get that in action and contact, and hopefully we'll be able to send some water bottles home with them too, so that, you know, if they can't get there, at least the children can have clean water overnight to drink. Another thing we're doing, and I guess I am stealing from Elizabethton High School students' ideas here, is a coat closet, because I don't want any child in the city or county to be cold, from little ones all the way to the bigger ones. And one thing I'm going to concentrate on are the bigger ones, because people think it's great to give little children coats. People forget Jeremy, who's a 2XL, and who's a teenager, and who doesn't have a coat, and who's freezing to death coming to school. So that is something that we're working on. I actually projected that a year out, but thanks to puddle jumpers, I've been thrown into that coat closet a whole lot sooner. So we're thankful for that. We're taking on a partner, so we're going to be battling the opioid epidemic, and we have storybook sites set up so that children will be able to walk along paths in Elizabethton, and they'll be able to read a storybook with different pages as they go through. That way they'll be able to know what's going on. That'll help improve their literacy, and that'll help improve their health. So we're very excited about that project as well. Another thing that is a personal favorite of mine, because it allows people to be easier in their donating, and I've brought them tonight, is that we're now accepting credit cards. And we'll be able to set that up for employees on payments with their credit card rather than doing the ACH and withdrawing. We know that for personnel, for human resources, it is such a pain to do those ACHs for employees. So now we'll be able to do it for them. They can give us the amount that they want to take out, and they can tell us when they want it to stop, and we'll be happy to do those. And I have the regular pledge cards, because we know some people still prefer to give checks, and they don't like giving things out. So those are some of the things that we're excited about that we have going on at the United Way. And have we ever found the video? Or? Oh, no. It's okay. But just so that you know, my homework wasn't late. I sent it in a couple of weeks ago. And it was there. I really wanted you to see it because that's something that my students had done for me. We talk a lot about community, and I have seen a wonderful community here and people trying in every way, shape, or form to make things better. I taught adjunct at ETSU for several years in the communications department with radio, television, and film, which is what my background is in. And I called them with less than 24-hour notice, and I said, hey, guys, I need a video. And they said, tell us what you want. They were actually traveling to another classmate's film school to kind of see what that was about and see if they would be interested. And they put it together in less than 24 hours, and I'm very proud of those guys for doing that for me. But these are the things that we have going on, and we would love for you guys to be a part of it. I have the materials to leave for the schools, and of course we would love for you to be a part of our bagging event. And anytime that there's any questions, concerns, or partnerships, I would like to know. And as a one last thank you, I would like to say that your beautiful Bartleby students attended our kickoff. We were fortunate to have them. They got to see kind of what it was all about. They got to meet Jennifer Hayes. They got to see the press part of it. They got to see us running around trying to get everything together, and what it was like for a new director who's transitioning from one career into a fundraising career. over. It was an eye-opening experience for them as well as me, because they are such bright individuals, and I was so proud to be a part of that. And I think that I'll be able to continue working with them. So thank you for letting them do the Bartleby project and be all that they could possibly be and open up their imaginations. It's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will check out your Facebook post and page, and we'll watch the video.
Please do.
We
Thank
will.
you.
We will.
Okay, we have some representatives this evening from Education's a Trip. We're going to let them come. We are putting an RFP out this month for travel services, and this is one of the companies that has come by, and just wanted to introduce them to the board.
Thank you.
Hello. I should face this way, yes? Folks, we have a presentation on the screen, and I was told to be brief, so
Yeah.
we're going to cut to the chase. Go to the last page, Doc.
Okay.
We have our company, Education's a Trip. Please pardon my throat here. Education's a Trip is an educational field trip travel company, and our primary purpose is to provide field trips. What we are interested in with you folks is partnership, and so we came a month and a half ago, and made a presentation to your principals at the behest and the request and the permission of your superintendent. So we were very excited about the presentation. They seem to like us. One of the reasons we think they do has everything to do with the fact that we are giving money back. So field trip that, according to our records, should have cost somewhere close to $90,000 to put on, we're able to do for you guys for pretty close to 50, it's under 60,000. I think it's something like $57,000, $58,000. In addition to the great reduction in total cost, we're also doing something called Fund Share, where we give back. And we make profit. Even at the $60,000, $58,000, we still make profit. But the unique relationship that we have with you guys is that we share our profit with you. And because of who you are, because of the proximity that you have to where we are, and our office is in Johnson City, Tennessee, we're very excited to have a partnership with the school system wherein we give back 75% of our profit comes back to you. So if we only make, and I'm pretty sure we're only going to make about $5,000 off this field trip, and just for the record, I'm not certain if you folks are familiar with the amount of profit there is in field trip travel, so I'm going to be straight to the point. I hope I'm doing this right. Apparently I'm not. This is just making a little light. Say it again. The bottom button? Got it. Boom. Okay. Sorry. So Quick Quote saves time and worry. This is our online system called Quick Quote, and its purpose is to allow any travel planner to be able to save about 3 weeks of their time and go onto our system and in about 20 minutes build a field trip. Our system manages the 64 steps, the 64 stages in a field trip plan from the inception. You're laughing.
64 steps is a lot of steps.
It is a lot of steps. Have you ever planned? You've done field trips, right?
I
Not
did
like
enjoy
that.
it. Yeah.
Nobody does.
Not like that.
Nobody does like we do. But every one of the steps are managed with our system, and we do it quickly. So our goal is to have about 95% of a field trip managed within the 20 minutes. That's pretty close to impossible. We still have to have human input. There still has to be management of what we call the 22-22. That's 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, and 2 hours prior to every item on the agenda. It still has to be touched by human hands. Somebody has to affect it. So that's where our staff comes from. That's where our staff comes in. But our goal, again, is to automate field trip travel, and we're trying to do that everywhere. So a little bit ago, we had 60 school systems across the United States sign up to use our system. We're really excited about that, but that's minuscule compared to what our plans are. So by January, Our goal is to have 400 school systems locked and loaded, although they won't be doing all of their travel with us because that's ridiculous for us to assume that they would. So our goal is for them to start with a minimum of 1 field trip so that they can, it's a courting time where they can find out about us and we can find out about them. And either the next semester or the next year, we'll be in position to do more of their travel. And by the 3rd year, we should be in position to honor the thing that we did for Dr. Gardenhauer, which kind of is probably the reason we're here. I like to think that we had made a good decision when we walked into his office and handed him a check for $220,000. He laughed under his breath at us at the thought of that, and then he started challenging us, and he challenged us all the way to the teeth. He's actually still challenging us. I wish he'd stop, but but he's right, because we can't give you folks back $220,000 in the first year. There's not enough trust there. So what he and we and our company do is we're taking our time and we're building a relationship one step, one stage at a time. What we're going through right now is all that it takes for the legalities. Our attorneys with your board attorney, I don't know who she is, but apparently she's very thorough.
She's very thorough.
Yes.
You love her, don't you?
Very much.
Yeah, she's great. So no, it's just taking some time. But it's okay because it's necessary. We have to go through that. But when we're done, our goal is to manage every one of your field trips. That's our goal. Ultimately, we'd like to manage every one of your field trips. Why would you do that? Well, you won't unless you trust us. And that's not going to happen until you have seen us do. So what we're doing this first year is the Washington, D.C. trip. We're pretty excited about that. We've got most of that stuff in place, but we aren't yet officially, so I'm looking at you board members, we're not officially approved travel vendors. So we want to be placed on the approved travel vendors list, please. Okay, so thank you for that. And I don't think I need to go through the rest of this. You folks all have it. You can look at the presentation. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call. Should I ask if someone has a question? I'm trying to stay under my 7 minutes. I'm right there now.
Yeah, you're right there. But what I'll say is, you know, some of the obvious questions that we've asked over a period of time is basically, how do you make your money? You know, what they do, they simply, in a volume way, can go out and bid and have relationships with companies they use all the time, and they can get travel a lot cheaper than what we can. And so in the savings that's there, they make their portion, and then they give the rest of the profit back. So they're investing back in the school system for that. Keep in mind that the travel is no less expensive, no more expensive for any student, faculty, the school system, whoever's doing the travel, than it would be. And the proceeds of what we would have would go back to do a couple things. If we were going to look at their proposal, which we will, we're putting an RFP out. People will respond to that. This is one of the companies that may respond to our RFP and do that. I think they will. But in the fund share, that comes back and helps us reduce cost overall for our students. We have students who can't pay for trips at times, and so that helps us do that and reduce cost overall for that. But money would go back into travel. If you think about all the traveling that we do, and you looked at the amount of money that's there, we're taking children on overnight trips, not in every grade level, of course, but once they're getting closer to middle school and moving on to high school, we have overnight trips, we have sports trips, we have different things. Now, federal, we would not use federal money for this. Obviously, there's a reimbursement and issue there, but all of our general purpose accounts, think about trips that we take with our band and different things. We'll give them a travel vendor an opportunity to come in and bid on that. So anybody locally, Johnson City, Kansas City, wherever they might want to come in and bid, we want to see what different companies will do. And so, but they've been working with us, giving us pricing and looking at some opportunities of what they could give back. 75% of the profit that comes back is a lot of money, and it will go back in to help us provide trips for students in the end. And so we thought that was something that we needed to look at. And it's, again, it wouldn't cost us any more to do travel, and we would get money back. So I think that that's something for us to look at. So in your packet, they've gone through and they've looked at the Washington trip is what we've used as a model. We wanted to have a specific trip that we would take every year, something that we would know, okay, how much will we get back on something like this? Is it worth it? And that type of thing. And I think what the share, or the fund share on that is around 75% is what comes back to us. And so, and they make money based on the volume that they do. But keep in mind too, all the planning, setting up hotels, they're a travel agent, that's what they do. And they would do all that work. The teacher would take about 20 minutes. They do the 3 to 4 weeks of work that it takes to get the best prices and do all that. And they can build in. And in some cases, they may be able to give us a much better trip than what we were planning on taking. So more enriching for students, different options of things that they're able to do and get at a cheaper price than what we can. And it makes it's not cost prohibitive anymore to take students on the trip. So we thought it was good for us to take a look at that at least.
What an amazing idea.
Thank you.
It is. It's amazing.
Thank you. We're Christians.
You're kind of like Priceline for schools.
Yeah, but better because we give the money back to the
Right,
school.
right.
Amazing.
Amazing.
And I think better. I'm supposed to say that. But no, I really do. I think that.
Okay.
But I wanted to add, we are asking for more than just your business. We want to be more than just your preferred vendor. We want the partnership so that we can use you. Sorry, don't feel bad about that. The way we want to use you, we've already spoken with Terry about taking advantage of some of his abilities to create commercials. We've already spoken with your Sean Witten, who's agreed to be our spokesperson. We're excited about that. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I love Jason Witten. I just think he's the greatest guy in the world. But his brother is a teacher, and we all know that that makes him more important to the world than what Jason is contributing. So we want to emphasize that in our commercials. We want to really push education to the forefront. I loved your story, by the way. That was awesome. We don't quite do it the way you do, but funding it is what we do. And the reason we do it, you should ask, if you're going to ask us a question, you should ask us why. And we do it because we're Christians. It's a Christian company, it's Christian in its foundation, and our purpose is biblical. So giving back, giving, is a Christian thing. That's why we do it. That's why we do it that way. Now, we do have one other request, and then we'll sit down. I used to be a preacher, so it's not uncommon for me to say I'm going to sit down and stand here a little bit longer. So we have, in the Washington, D.C. trip, we really do need, because we can't get paid until we become an approved vendor, we really do need you folks to expedite that if it's possible, so that we can get that check, so that we don't lose. It's in your benefit. Washington, D.C. is a very strict place to visit, and it's even more strict to make reservations, and so we don't want to miss any deadlines. It's very imperative for both of us that we get that vote as quickly as possible, if that's what it takes. Does anybody have any questions for me before I sit down?
Just want to say the RFP will be out until 21st, and after that we'll look at proposed bids at that point.
So we're good?
We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you both very much. All right. Guess it's time to have a meeting. All right. Time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments? All right. Hearing none. Item on the floor is to approve the consent and regular agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Gardner, your report?
Okay, we have Terry Smith, one more speaker tonight, but I wanted him to give a short overview of all the progress that we have made in the Bartleby project. We have had some significant breakthroughs, so Terry, if you could give us just a few minutes.
you're here.
Those off for you. Some of the things we've been doing so far. If we start through, we talked about it in the opening night at TA Doug, where about universal constructs, and if you look at that first page, that's what we we build it on in terms of critical thinking, complex communication, creativity, collaboration, flexibility, adaptability, productivity, and accountability. So those are the six sort of core standards that we go by. And then if you turn to the next page, we have the two different types of project proposals. We've got the inbound project proposal that comes from outside of the community. If somebody in the community wants to propose a project to us, and if you look there's different things that they go through, and one of the things that we look at there is your organization's mission and vision statement, because we want to make sure that their mission and vision statement is aligned with something that we would like to be putting forward to our students. If you look at the next page, then the project proposal, then we go into that project scope and description, the vision statement, trying to get the students ready to do vision and mission statements, specific skills, knowledge required, project sequence, the partners they may be working with, again, the partners' vision and mission statements to make sure they align, try to create a win-win situation, and then we look at on the other side, the core standards the project will cover, the career strands, and then the 25% through the 50%, 75%, 100% successful completion landmark. And those are, so the students then have to spend a lot of time planning and preparing, because as Dr. Gardenhauer often says to me in our meetings, at the end of the day, that's probably the most important thing that they get from doing these projects is the concept of having to really work and prepare and plan and think in detail. Then the next one we have is the project evaluation, and that's something that the teachers, and the teachers are doing a fantastic job. I mean, they're spending about 45 minutes with each group each time they sit down with these project evaluations and going through it all. Looking at, on the first page, a lot of it is looking through what they, the mission statement, the vision statement, and things like that. But then you have the 6 universal constructs, which we've just talked about, and they put in there, each time they meet with them, they put down where they're fulfilling those or where they might be able to take better advantage of those. Then we have the 25% and the 50% landmark achievement evaluations, and 75% and 100%, but also then the presentation evaluations, and I'll cover that in a little bit later on. The overall performance evaluation, then the win-win on the third page, and then we get into the results and the accountability, again, for the students to be accountable, and they sit down and they understand why they're receiving a certain evaluation on what they've done, and then they sign it to show the accountability for that. If you look then on, and this is something that Dr. Gardenhauer came up with in terms of working this in evaluation, because one of the real key difficulties you have in this concept of a Bartleby school and XQ schools is how do you then evaluate? How do you tell whether the students are progressing and doing what they're supposed to do? And so then the action verbs Dr. Gardenhauer came up with there, and you look at, on this first one, it's the 6 levels of taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy, and it starts on the second page. If you look at the beginning at remembering, understanding, applying, then moving up to analyzing, evaluating, and then creating. And so what that does is it allows the opportunity for teachers to see at what level the students are working at as they move through their projects. Now the next one goes along with that, and this is where you look at the 6 levels as we talked about on the next handout there, and it goes through all the different the levels that you have. Now what Dr. Gardenhauer then has us doing is with each project will consist, if you look at the top of the page there, consist of at least 20 points. These may be earned in different combinations. So each of those levels, if you level 1 is worth, if you achieve something with that, it's worth 1 point. Level 2 is 2 points, 3 points, 4, 5, and 6. And so the students can choose how they want to do it, and each project will be somewhat different. Some projects might actually be more catered toward doing a number of level 1 and level 2, where other ones, it'll go straight into the synthesis and the creation. And I think one of the ways in describing this, for an example, one of our projects that we're doing is Jared Grindstaff and Lawson Wagner, and they're doing the historic walking tour downtown. And so it's kind of an easy one to picture with these 6 levels. So the knowledge, they've gone down to the library, for instance, and spent time in the archives with the librarian and historian and gone through to build the facts up of what there is downtown. And they've also spent time with other people. We've had, I've brought in a number of people in speakers and everything that they've had. Today was Father Tim Holder from St. Thomas Episcopal Church, and he's an excellent historian and about the downtown, the old town part of, and so the knowledge that they get from that. All right, then the comprehension is the next level where they understand it and they can kind of formulate it and move it into other areas. Application, so for instance, the comprehension would be taking those ideas of all those facts and kind of sorting them and organizing them into importance. Application then would be maybe taking a map and drawing a map of downtown and actually applying that knowledge into a different context. Then you have the analysis, and that's where you get into, because what the issue they're coming up with, and I think Father Holder was working with them today on that, one of the issues they come up with is there's more places than they can actually cover, but there has to be a limitation on the number of places they can cover. And so they have to have an analysis and study each one of those, and also study what are the facts of each one, how important are each one. They get into the evaluation then, which ones should we choose on the walking tour, which location should we choose, what are the facts that we should present at each of those locations, what is most important. And then the synthesis creation, level 6, would be actually the creation of the walking tour. So that's a concept there of how you would go through that. And then each project is different in terms of what it can actually, how they will build up, and the students have the opportunity to choose in those levels as long as they are able to reach at least 20 points. And that's how we would help us to evaluate. We've, if on the speaker series, that's one thing that's been very big that we've done so far. We've had Habitat for Humanity in, Coalition for Kids, Dr. Miller, the Mountain States Health Alliance, Sycamore Shoals Hospital, Boys and Girls Club of Elizabethton and Carter County, Grandfather Mountain Foundation, which is an educational foundation, Wine to Water, which gives clean drinking water across the world, Thomas Davis with Edward Jones, VFW, Father Holder, and Carter County Chamber of Commerce. So we've had 11 speakers already in that have already presented to the students. And it's been amazing to watch because, and this isn't just me saying this, the teachers have all said the exact same thing, is that when the first ones came in, they might ask about 3 questions, any questions at the end of the presentation. And these groups all did a fantastic job coming, and they put together great presentations, PowerPoints, did all sorts of things. And then they had questions, and the first ones were like 3 questions. Then it built up, and then it was 45 minutes of questions, and then it was over an hour of questions. And it was amazing to watch how, because as their knowledge grew, they had more knowledge to pull from in order to ask the questions. And they didn't worry about what their question wasn't an intelligent question, which you worry about at the beginning because you don't know whether or not you know enough to ask a decent question. But because they became so intelligent on this, and it was interesting to watch because the different groups would all, different individuals, different students, would all come up with different. One might be about revenue based, one might be marketing, one might be staffing, one might be the nonprofit angle of it. So it was really interesting to see what their interests were and how they then portrayed those and how they presented those in their questions. The next one you have here, and this is something that Becca's done a great job with in creating these, is that we have 2 different ones. And if you look, the front page is the same on them. One, we go out into the partners in the community to try to get business partners and try to create partners. The other one is I go out to colleges and have meetings with the college vice presidents of enrollment and the directors of admission and people like that to try to create partnerships and relationships for our students that would benefit our students. And so if you look on the second page, that's where the real difference is. And that's whereas on the one you have the community improvement class board, project partner, be guest speaker, mentor a student, things like that. Whereas on the college one, you have scholarships and grants, the local dual credit, admission requirements, guest speakers, and also. So those have been excellent, and Becca did a great job on those. And along those lines, we actually, what was that? Oh, here it is. The way that those actually look are like this. and because we're so here's how they actually look. So they're really beautiful, and they have the front and the back. So Becca was very intelligent in terms of not costing too much, and we trying to keep the cost down as much as we could. And we actually only printed off 25 of the college ones, didn't we? Because we knew that was enough for us for now, because you're just given one every time you go to a college. The other thing that Becca's done is done the business cards. For all the teachers have had them, but also the students have them, and so they can write their name in. And so I've given some of these handouts to them when they go around town, and I've given them all business cards, so they really feel important, I guess is the word, probably, when they go around town and they can actually present a business card to whoever they're going to speak with and meet with. The partners page, I've written this down, and this is something that we came up with for the, and so we've got a lot of different partners that we've been building, and so it's gone extremely well. A lot of the people that we come in as speakers, they become partners, and we get very much involved with them. But then there's been a lot of other people who've stepped up also. And if we, some sort of key things, Mayor Humphrey and Susan Robinson have done a great job, really worked with us a lot on applying for a $50,000 grant right now that's going to be to allow our students to go into the, and work in the government, work actually and get paid to do that. And so they'll be doing all sorts of things, and a lot of the students are really excited about that because then they'll be getting an opportunity to go into all these meetings and listen to all these things and meet so many people throughout the government. Additional partnerships, Habitat for Humanity, our students are going there Thursday and Friday this week from 1 to 4, helping to build the house here that's in Elizabethton. It's a Navy veterans house. Grandfather Mountain is a foundation. They're creating an unbelievable experiential and expeditionary learning environment up there. They're going to build some buildings up there and really become really focused on education. And so they're going to partner with us and do a lot of things. Whether it's going to be tremendous. Our Jesse Pope, the executive director, who's a friend of mine, he came down and spoke, and he's so excited about working with us. So that's going to be a huge partnership, and some of our students already are planning internships and everything up there. Mayor Humphrey gave the teachers and the students a Heroes Award at the last commission meeting, and so they were able to go up there in front of everybody and get this big nice plaque that was engraved. It was a beautiful plaque, and it really was something special that the students and teachers really enjoyed. On the colleges, I've been going around to the various different colleges, and we've had agreements, in different ones, and we're finalizing because it comes down to details of, it's almost like contract negotiations. You're trying to say, well, we'd like to do this, and can you do this, and can we do this class for dual credit? And so there's a lot of things, but they've all, in principle, we've had agreements on admissions of our Bartleby students that don't require an ACT or an SAT, admissions based upon if they have a guaranteed like 2.9 GPA or a 3.0 GPA at different schools, dual credit. Some of them talked about guaranteed admission at UT. He said a guaranteed admission is what we were talking about with Fabrizio when I went to Knoxville to meet with him. Scholarships, they're working on scholarships for us. Professors are going to, I was at King on Tuesday, and they're willing to teach a class. One of their professors come and teach a Bartleby course for us, and it actually could be more than one, but we can start with that. Professors will come speak. From a lot of them, the professors come speak. Presidents, Tusculum, their new president, Dr. Hurley, is willing to come down and speak to our students. The professors will work with students on the projects. They'll also treat our Bartleby courses as honors type courses and allow them to apply for merit scholarships based upon that. And then UT, on this past Monday, they came up with, they wanted to work with us on a longitudinal study to see how the improvements were of our students compared to the average student, to see and that would be tremendous information for us to create so that we would be able to say how well our school is doing. And then the last thing is our student presentations. We've been filming our student presentations. They've now done their, as it talks about in the project evaluation form, 25%, 50% landmarks they've done. And it was really, and I mentioned this in the TA Duggar, but when I've been teaching at Lees McRae, and I do business communications classes there and do a lot of senior research capstone classes, we always work on doing presentations, and then, but we film them. And so the whole idea is that if you, I remember reading a story, 30 years ago, about how kindergartner, first graders going into this elementary school, where they would, one of the first days they were there, they would all get up on stage and give a speech, and the whole place would stand up and cheer, and give a standing ovation. And the idea being that they were trying to get, so many people are afraid of public speaking, that the idea was that they would give them so much confidence, and make them think, have their first impression of being up there being a great experience, so that then they would not have a fear for the rest of their life. Well, taking along those kind of lines, we film all their presentations, and then everything is great. Oh, you did a tremendous job. That was fantastic. Really, really good. Everything we give them is positive feedback, so that they feel good about themselves and gain confidence in themselves. And then, I go through production of it, give it to them in an unlisted YouTube, so they can watch it themselves and go online to watch it, and then they can evaluate themselves. And so when they evaluate themselves, they then pick, whereas we're giving them all positive, they're looking at it and saying, well, I could have done better on this, I should have looked up a little bit more, I should have done this, I should have done that. And so the whole idea is then for them to improve based upon their own evaluation. And to follow up on that, we have our teachers, have them write like a one paragraph, how could you have gotten better on this one, and let them, so we know for sure that they're watching it. We also have them watch the other presentations, and then they have to list like 10 things that they like from the other presenter, what the other ones did, because it's like a rising tide raises all ships. And in presentations, if you get those one or two that are really great at presentations, it pulls the rest of the students up. And so that's what we're doing on that. They've done both their first two presentations, 25% and 50%, and it was amazing to see the difference in how the calmness and the confidence and how well articulated they were in the second one compared to, they were fine in the first one, but they were nervous. You could tell some of them were a little bit nervous, but it was just that they're so much more comfortable and so much more confident in the second one. But so that's what we've been doing so far.
Wow.
There's been a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of conversations with the teachers. Susan's been a part of 99% of our meetings, working with us as our board liaison. And
Susan's done a great job.
And she has, giving advice and feedback from her teaching experience as well. I just think that it's been a lot of hard work, but it's been amazing to see the doors are just opening up.
Yeah.
It's to the point where, colleges are looking at these children saying, once they meet them, then they say, guess what? We don't need an ACT score. We're not going to go on that. We'll admit them without it. So it's pretty significant.
Yeah, but it does exactly what you're saying. At first, it felt like you had a boulder that was just stationary, and you were just trying to find a way to get it moving. And then, so there was a lot of work, just calling people, sending emails, doing just so many things you had to do to try to get a response. But then now it's like a snowball. It's starting, and we're starting to get people coming to us.
We're just trying to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And Terry has been a big, just working every day. We try to keep each other going.
Yeah.
So
thanks for all your help too, Dr.
On behalf of the board, I know we thank our teachers a lot. We thank our students a lot. I want to thank Susan for all she does. I want to thank Dr. Gardner. And if we can keep you here forever, I want to do that. I'm just sitting here going, what a blessing you have been to our school system. So on behalf of the board, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But Dr. Gardner and Susan and all of y'all and Becca and the teachers and the students, the teachers have done a tremendous job, and the students are just amazing to work with.
They are. These students are just amazing. It's just, I'm in awe of all of them. Yeah. They are. They're amazing.
This is going to be fun to see in a few years where this thing takes us. And I have a feeling it's taking us. We're not taking it. We're just along for the ride. So.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The TSBA annual convention is coming up this week, this coming week, and 2 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the.
I'm not ready yet.
Not ready. Yeah, it'll be here before we know it, and just thankful that the board is going, and we'll have an opportunity one of the evenings to go down and see the band. So we're really excited about that as a crew. Our XQ visit is coming up. It was supposed to be this week, but it is now going to be moved to the week of November 14th through the 16th. And they're coming from California to come in and look at our Bartleby program and look at our progress that we have with the grant that we've been given. Most of all, to our teachers and our staff, I want to say thank you for their hard work on exemplary school system. We're really number 2 in our region.
Yep.
And
We're not embargoed anymore.
we're not embargoed, so we can say
We should have brought
congratulations
confetti and balloons.
to their excellence and our students and our community, parents, working with all of our children to make them better. All those nights reading at home before bed help too. I would say congratulations to T.A. Duggar and for their big improvement this year. And also congratulations to Westside for being a reward school. And Westside had a large, great achievement this year in that. Tonight we have on the agenda some information about Harold McCormick project. We're moving forward with that ever so slowly, but we're trying to get everything together to where we can take it to the city. And I'm trying to make sure that we're stepping in the right order to make sure we do not have to backtrack. So we are making progress there. The T.A. Duggar project, we're looking at that. We're going to be talking about that in the very near future. Just trying to move forward to phase 2 and starting to think about that. I wanted to announce this evening we're starting to raise money for an arts area at the high school. It will be in the alcove, kind of when you come into the high school, that first little area that's there that you would see. And we're going to start to raise money there. We think that that can be a opportunity for student expression and a place where our drama program, which now is exploded in numbers, that we can look and we think for around $30,000 we can do something pretty significant there. And I know that there are people in the Elizabethton community that are absolutely interested in the arts. And we want to be an arts-rich environment for our children. It enhances the arts, band, choral, drama. They all enhance the total experience that we have at the high school. And we have some very talented students that can show that off during the day, what they can do in that area. And we're going to be looking at working on that and raising the money to do that. I want to congratulate our volleyball team for going to Sub-State. They had a great run this year. We're very proud of them and all their hard work. And then Hannah, you'll be our next. Do you have anything this evening?
No, sir.
Okay. And I want to make sure that this evening we have a special, one of our, in fact, come on up here, Les. Everything look professional in the school system. He has worked on so many projects and saved us thousands upon $10,000s of dollars in the work that he's been able to do here. And we'll say to Lester, we have a small gift for you. I say thank you for all your hard work, all the extra hours, and all my phone calls saying, Lester, we need you to take care of this for us. Come on, let's get down here. Meet me down here, and we'll start working on it together. And he comes through every time. So we have a little something for you. Say thank you for all of your hard work. He even wore a tie tonight. He looks fantastic.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a couple of comments if I could, please, if it's okay, if it's appropriate time. I've had the opportunity to attend a lot of events within the last month, and I couldn't be more proud of our school system. I mean, all the things that the kids do, your staff and all the teachers and stuff, I mean, it's just been pretty amazing what we can do when we all work together. But it's been a privilege, actually, to watch these kids perform. And at the Greenville ball game, there was a big crowd, and I could hear out-of-town people comment on how well coached our kids was and how nice of a stadium we had. And like I say, couldn't be more proud of our school system.
Thank you.
You can always say stuff like that.
Well, no, but I just felt like
No, just any time, interject that.
Watching all these events here
Good.
lately has just been amazing, and then to end up with the exemplary school, pretty amazing.
Been a good month, hasn't it?
Sure.
Our people are special.
Get
And
to
I've-
make
and
more
I've
room
thor-
on the wall up here.
That's all right, we'll
next
do
to it.
And I
Yeah.
have thoroughly enjoyed it, every minute of it.
Thanks.
In fact.
Well, shall we move on to the agenda? So far, it's been a good meeting. All right. First item is approved creation of position at Eastside Elementary for a part-time assistant to the teacher position utilizing Title I allocation with a focus on math and literacy intervention. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Thank you.
Okay, this is, you know that we were able to come back and do this at Westside, which meant that we needed to do that at the two other schools as well. And so we're doing that this month.
Do you have any questions or comments? Okay, item on the floor, approved creation of position at Eastside Elementary for a part-time assistant to the teacher position utilizing Title I allocations with a focus on math and literacy intervention. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approved creation of position at Harold McCormick Elementary for a part-time assistant to the teacher position utilizing Title I allocations with a focus on math and literacy intervention. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. I'm guessing same thing?
Same thing.
All right. Any questions or comments? Okay. Item on the floor, approved creation of a position of a Harold McCormick Elementary for a part-time assistant to the teacher utilizing Title I allocations, focus on math and literacy intervention. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approved purchase of 72 Lenovo Chromebooks, including licensing agreements for a total of $15,048 from CDWG for use at Harold McCormick Elementary School. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on this?
Do all the elementary schools have Chromebooks now?
Yes,
pretty
they
well
do.
covered?
They do. One thing we're proud to say is we talked with Mr. Trent today, and testing-wise, we're about a year ahead, but I think that we're really in pretty good shape to be able to handle the load for next year. We made a significant investment at the end of 2 years ago, but those are still relevant, still working well. It was a good purchase, so they're using these to do other things, in instruction every day, not just for testing. But this makes it a lot easier, and we're trying to get technology in as many hands as we can.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, I'm on the floor, approved purchase of 72 Lenovo N23 Chromebooks for a total of $15,048 for use at Harold McCormick Elementary School. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve Tysinger Hampton and Partners Incorporated to complete professional services, engineering services, design, permitting, bidding, and construction services for entrance improvements to South Pine Street at Harold McCormick Elementary School in the amount of $9,900. TH&P is in the process of completing data collection services in the amount of $8,800. This additional work increases the total cost to $18,700. So board approval is required. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
This item, they have already come and done some of the surveying over there, and as you know, our goal here is to widen the street, if we possibly could, over at Harold McCormick. And the street, if you remember, in the back of the gymnasium area, moving out from the gym and then going out to South Pine, we need to widen that area in order to make sure that traffic can move freely between two, and we're not having buses run into cars and that type of thing. And so this is going to help us make sure that we have everything requested of us of the city to make sure after this that the city would maintain the road after that. So that's what we're trying to do in that. So we'll be approaching the city for approval with this information to widen that maybe by about 5 feet to make sure that we have good passage. It's city-owned land. It's not encroaching on other property. So this is the information that they need in order to be able to make a decision on that.
Will the city provide the work? I mean, will they widen the road, or is that something we will do?
At this point, that's something that we're
Negotiating.
or we would ask at some point. But you know, at this point, we're prepared to make the investment we need to. It's important for the safety of our students that we take as much traffic off of Cedar Avenue as we can. And if we can take people in and out that same route, it will make it much safer.
Any other questions or comments? All right, item on the floor, approve Tysinger, Hampton and Partners to complete professional services. Two amounts, $9,900 and $8,800. This total comes to $18,700. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve contract between Elizabethton City Schools and Train to provide HVAC design services at Elizabethton High School for a cost of $13,808. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, this particular item, what we're trying to do is trying to figure out a way to repipe around an existing chiller that we have. What we have going on right now is water, it comes to our normal chiller. It's pumped through another chiller that was there kind of as a spare. When that happens, we're losing temperature on the water. And so we need a workaround fix to try to make sure that we have humidity controlled, also heating and cooling controlled, because we have really one loop that works everything. And so when we're losing temperature, there's not really a great fix to this. It's how it had been put in. How many years ago do you think, Mr. Van Ness? 40 or more years ago. So it's worked for a period of time, but what we now know is that is an efficiency issue. It's also causes humidity that we do not need. So we're looking for a fix, and we need to have someone come help us design the fix that we need to. We think that's the cheapest route to go. It's hard when you have one loop that controls a lot of different HVAC systems. You really have to go to the source to try to fix it. We can't just take one unit and replace it. This is a fix for the whole system. So we're going to ask Train to come and help us design that. I think Steve Ferris is who they will use and has done other work, like the work at Harold McCormick when we had to redo the boiler there. So he'll be the same engineer.
Yes, any questions or comments? Item on the floor is to approve contract between Elizabethton City Schools and Train to provide HVAC design services at Elizabethton High School for a cost of $13,808. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve contract between Blackburn Childress and Stegall PLC and Elizabethton City Schools Board of Education for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2018, at a cost not to exceed $14,200 for the activity funds and $19,500 for general purpose federal programs and school nutrition program funds. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
This is just basically a yearly housekeeping that we do to have our audit services that we need in order to keep us all honest.
This is separate from the general audit, right?
No, this will provide, I know that we audit different things, but generally this is the amount of money that we need for our what we generally do every year. This is a one-time cost per year, correct? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just noticed that school nutrition program was on here. That's all inclusive, right? They do that along with everything else when they audit? Okay. Okay.
Anybody else have a question? All right. Item on the floor, approved contract between Blackburn Children's and Stegall and Elizabethton City's Schools Board of Education for audit services for fiscal year ending June 30, 2018, at a cost not to exceed $14,200 for activity funds and $19,500 for general purpose, federal programs, and school nutrition program funds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve resolution between Citizens Bank and members of the Elizabethton Board of Education and their secretary designee to open a Visa Platinum credit card account with a limit of $7,500 total account limit for all board members and their secretary, which will be utilized for travel expenditures while attending approved training, conferences, and compliance with current BOE travel policies and procedures. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
This will just make it a little bit easier for us when you all go out of town to make sure they can, it's almost impossible when we take a check into these places. They kind of look at us and say, how many years has it been since you...
I was kind of wondering when you were going to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Actually, after
So-
trying to make hotel reservations, I called Dr. Jean. I said, can we please do this? Because
Yeah.
Rita's also been with me when that didn't work so well.
yes.
We've spent half a day dealing with the problem.
It's been an ordeal.
So anyway, this will just make it much easier for you to travel and be reimbursed.
If you've stood in line and tried to figure it out, you'll know why we want to do this. Do you have any questions or comments on this?
Just clarification, this is just board and Ms. Perkins, is that right?
That's correct.
Does not include you?
No. I'm on another account.
Okay.
And we've been doing the same type of thing.
Okay.
How many years, Beth? Maybe 4 or 5 at least. And it's worked very well.
Because usually if I travel, especially like to conferences, I just pay for it with my card, then come back and have to be reimbursed, and this will just be a time saver because we can do things a little bit more efficiently. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right. Item on the floor, approve resolution between Citizens Bank and members of Elizabethton Board of Education and their secretary to open a Visa Platinum credit card amount not to exceed $7,500, which will be the limit, be utilized for travel expenditures while attending approved training, conferences, and compliance with our travel policies and procedures. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Please do not leave before you sign something that Ms. Perkins has for us to sign. Next item, approve first reading of Board Policy 4.406, use of the Internet as revised. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
We, for a number of months, have been trying to, look at measures. And Becca, would you like to come and speak about these two? She's been working on this quite a bit.
So this and the next item on the agenda are related. I know we have to go one item at a time. Basically, use of internet, what we've changed is language to include a procedure for creating social networking websites and an acceptable use of social networking websites form. Essentially, to summarize what we've done, we have created an approval process for new and existing social media websites. We have our district sites, but there are also sites for clubs and sports. And what we wanted to do is create a process so that the people that are the administrators over those accounts are well informed and well trained about our policies, and so that they don't have to go dig through what already exists, but we can kind of summarize it in one form. They can sign that acceptable use form, and then we will know what all is out there and have a way to kind of monitor that and do ongoing training with them. So use of the internet, the only two things that have changed in there are under email. This is something Ms. Owen recommended, that we change shall to may, because
And that's in our packet, right? Not in the board. This is the additional information.
That was a change of shall to may of monitoring email communications. She just noticed that while we were looking at that and thought that would give us a little more leeway, since it's difficult to actually monitor all email communications. So, and then the last thing that's added in there is number 4 on the last page. You guys have any questions on that?
So all of this, creation of social networking and websites, this is separate from the policy?
Yeah, so do they have the acceptable use form? Okay, so what we created based on a number of different districts' policies, and we also talked to some area colleges, is an acceptable use form. The first page of this will basically function as the procedures, and that outlines what they are to do to set up a social networking website. Then the next 2 pages in there reference various policies that already exist and also just provide some advice about tagging and linking to other pages. It lets them know that social media used as a representation of the school may be considered an open record, and just talks about basically privacy and professionalism on this site.
So are we going to have a workshop for the staff and on this, for all of them?
We will do training. We have, Becca has webmasters at each site, and we'll be doing training for teachers to let them know. Now keep in mind, when they come in, part of what we share with them when they come in for their first employment onboarding session is their policies that we go over and have them sign off that they've read. Okay, that coupled with the familiarity with the procedure will help everyone. We'll go in faculty meetings. We went over it today with all of our principals to make sure they understood what we're asking. But this really comes down to the user level, to where we have parents or the Betsy Band or whoever it might be that have website or have, which will be the next one, or have a social media site that may have content that they need to be monitoring. Now what we have Becca doing is she will go in with them and she will come in when they are an approved site or approved social media site. She'll sign on and she'll be a part of that site as well to make sure that we're monitoring what's going on there. What we do not want to have happen is we have people putting pictures on there when people have not given permission for it. We do not want to have communications among some staff members and students. We need to be monitoring that pretty heavily. Not that we've had a lot of problems with that, but it's something that we need to really try to keep that, what we're doing on that. If we have branding or issues like that people are using that would be something that we do. And also we may get social media requests from outside agencies like News Channel 11 or someone like that. If people haven't registered with us, we're not going to be responsible for what content they have, and they're welcome to their free speech and do what they want to do on their own time. However, when they're affiliated with us and have, our students and that type of thing on it, and are claiming to be one of our people, we want to make sure that we have a presence there and are monitoring what's going on so we know if we have an issue or not. What we have sometimes is we have a lot of well-intentioned, no issues type organizations like volleyball team or the band or whatever, but we just need to make sure that we're not violating any rights and doing that. So this is an attempt to get a better handle on that. Not that we're going to be able to be a two-way radio or be viewing it all day and all night, but it does give us a frame of reference. If we have an issue or a complaint, we can at least see if they have registered and have been given a copy of what we expect.
And something that we'll see with this is that the people that have these sites, and there are probably already 10 or 15 social media sites that people have set up for clubs or sports, is that once they read this and sign this, we're going to have them put a statement on there that they've done this so people know that it is an affiliated program of ours. And I guess a big thing with this is there are districts that don't allow any other social media sites, and I think we see the value in them being able to do that and communicate, and just wanted to make sure that the people that are doing that are aware of our policies that already exist. So, thanks.
Thanks for working on all this.
Thank you for all your help.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have you.
Keeping you too. Keeping you both. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve first reading of Board Policy 4.406, use of the internet as revised. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve first reading of Board Policy 4.407, Web Pages as revised. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
This gives us the same opportunities that we would for social media sites as for websites as well.
Do you have any questions or comments? I'm on the floor. Approve first reading of Board Policy 4.407, Web Pages as revised. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve on first reading Board Policy 4.600, Grading System as revised. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
This is just an update to the correct grading system policy that we had, and so there's no real major changes to this. All the changes were approved last time to what we've done, but this is just make sure it's correct policy.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Item on the floor, approve on first reading Board Policy 4.600, Grading System as revised. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve first reading of Board Policy 6.300, Code of Behavior and Discipline as proposed. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, this is really a continuation of behavior, and you know that our policy has different levels of behaviors that we're looking at, but also our student handbooks have that as well. Ms. Susan, did you have anything on this one?
Well, on page 3, and it's level 3, at the bottom there are disciplinary options. And Dr. Gardner and I had a discussion about the use of corporal punishment. And though he told me that it hasn't been used in 5 years or so, I have an objection to even having the language in here. There's a tremendous amount of research that proves that this kind of discipline or punishment doesn't work. And I would just like to have a discussion on the possibility of eliminating it. I mean, just because it hasn't been used doesn't mean someone might not want to use it in the future. So I just wondered if we could have a discussion about that.
What do you all feel?
It is covered in our policy, though, correct?
It's covered in state law. It's a part
In
of
state
it,
law
it's
and our policy.
Yeah, it is.
So would we have to go back and revisit that policy?
It's covered here. We can go back and look at it. What I would tell you is, this is the main area where it's covered. But as far
Okay.
as our procedures and our handbooks, it is in there.
That's what I thought.
So we can always make revisions to those. What I would tell you is, as I'd say with anyone, I think that it's a part of. We have a very conservative community. I think that there's values with that, but I also know that just in practice, that's one of the questions that Susan asked me this week. What has gone? I probably was the last person that paddled anyone here when I was a principal, and that's been quite a while ago. I don't believe we've had anyone do it since I did. So it's really not being used. I'm, of course, we're in charge of discipline, but it's
What
not
does
that.
Miss Owens say? Or does she have an opinion? Or
Well,
does
one of the ways, let me go back to history. When it's been used, there are a lot of measures that are in place to make sure it's safely administered. Parental permission is number one. Meeting with the parents, having a witness, making sure that the witness confirms that you're not angry or upset when you administer it. How it's done, the after conference, all those things that we have procedures in place. We have parents sign off. When I was a principal, more of what happened is I had parents requesting me do it. It was not necessarily me. I won't say that every time it was that way, but I'd say 80 to 90% of the time, it was parents calling me to say, that's quit fooling around with this, wear them out, you know, and that's kind of the conversations as they would go. We have had parents come to the school and administer that. Say, well, we're going to take them outside and we'll be back in a few minutes. I need to check them out for a few minutes, you know. So there's different things that have happened, but there's pretty strict a way that it's administered. It's just something that really in the last several years hasn't been used. And so on it, for me, it's part of the state law. Could we revisit at the end of the year before we change that back? Change all of our things to take care of that if you want to do it that way. It's in effect for this year, but it's really up to the board.
I don't disagree. I mean, with Susan, but just make sure we're covered on all of our bases.
Yeah.
One place in the book it says we do it, and one place says we don't.
Yeah.
But it would be possible to just eliminate the language, wouldn't it?
It's allowed by state law. Other boards have done the same thing over a period of time. I think if I went to, 10 school systems around us, maybe 2 or 3 would still have it. So I think the trend is moving away from it. If the board felt differently afterwards, we could always come back, since it's a part of state law, and add it back if they felt that that was something we needed to do.
I would be curious what our principals think, just for some feedback before we did anything.
Okay. I think that's fair.
I don't disagree with Susan as well. I don't think it's a practice that's happened. Well, in fact, we're not using it. But before we do anything, I would like to know kind of what our principals think, and if they would prefer it not be there, would have no trouble.
Are the
talking about this
principals
again.
the one that usually do this deed, or is
They
it
do.
the principal?
And this is
do.
first reading too, so.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we can find that information out, and then next month before second reading, we can talk about that. But okay.
So what you're saying is we're going to do first reading tonight, and we have to approve it as is, the way it is here?
If you want to make the motion that we approve it without, that would be something that you have to vote on. Or we could approve it as is, knowing that we have a second reading, and make the change on second reading once we have information for the principals. But if you approve it tonight, technically it's a step. It's not being approved on first reading, so.
But we can also extract it and then add it back in if you've got a principal that feels strongly or several principals feel strongly. Okay.
Absolutely.
I would.
So are you going to make a motion, or how do you feel about it? You want to wait till second reading?
I'd like to make a motion that we eliminate the language
Okay.
on first reading.
I'd kind of like to have Dr. May's opinion on this also, because we don't have our full board here tonight. And Grover's always pretty good. It doesn't matter. I mean,
Well, first of all, we've got a motion to remove the language. We need a second before we can vote on it. So we have a second, yes, a second to,
You've got one motion already on
Yes.
the floor that
Time, man.
you're approving it
As
as
is.
So
That's right.
also, you're gonna have to consider.
all right, so we need to vote on on the motion that's on the floor. And then if that one fails, then we look at Susan's. This is when I like when Grover's here.
So
He's
the
very
first
helpful.
one is as is that what you're saying?
Well,
I
we've
think
already got
we
a
had
second,
motion and
That was the
second on that
motion,
one.
the second.
Okay,
Right.
The motion,
And then the
second
amendment,
that was made.
okay,
then
would be
consider the
as
amendment.
okay.
As is. Oh, hello.
Hello, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
There is a separate corporal punishment policy, 6.314. So probably no matter what you do with this one tonight, you still have that out there.
That's what I
So,
thought.
Yeah.
so just wanted to.
So, okay, so the item on the floor currently is to approve first reading of Board Policy 6.300 as is, and then we'll see what happens. And then we look at the Susan's
Depends on
motion.
how your vote goes.
Okay, so,
If you don't have a majority vote.
right. Do we want any more discussion on this before we vote on it? Okay.
And if we vote no, we'll revisit it later, is that what we're saying? With some more information?
If you vote it down, then you can bring it back with different wording for another reading next month.
Or we can leave it as is and then do a little bit more research, bring it back, and then with the other policy. So
So either way, it's not set in stone.
it's
No.
not set in stone. Right, right. And if everyone's as confused as I am.
I was just going to say, more confusing than it started.
So basically, what we're thinking is, as of right now, we're going to vote for it as is.
As is,
And it is
okay.
not set in stone, and because we can vote on, but there's some other things I think we probably need to look at. But anyway, as is, we'll just vote. So, item on the floor, approve first reading of Board Policy 6.300, Code of Behavior and Discipline as proposed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'm gonna say aye.
Okay.
Opposed.
Okay, so we got 3 ayes, 1 no. So we'll leave this one as is, and I'm sure we're going to revisit this one again. Okay.
What specific information would you all like from the principals, just if they would think they need to use that or not, or?
I think we need to tell them that it's been brought up that we were looking at possibly removing it. We'd like their
Okay.
input. If they want that language in there, why? If they don't care. I mean, yeah, I just think we need to do, I think Susan brings up a great point. I think it absolutely
agree.
needs to be discussed. I would feel better if we took a little bit of time and researched it.
Well,
And I would like to know if the principals feel like if it's effective. I mean,
Okay.
If they feel like it actually proves it when it does what it's supposed to do.
Well, I agree with what you're saying about asking the principals, but again, as Dr. Gardner said, it hasn't been used in 5 years, but staffs change. Even though these current principals might feel one way, next year we could get a different principal that feels a different way.
Think
So
about this.
I mean, I just don't like it being in here at all, period, no matter who feel. I think it's something that isn't effective and that we don't need to be doing it in the public schools. That's just my opinion.
And a lot of the new teachers we're hiring were not a part of that.
That's right. Well, and
It's
if
a
we,
different
and if we
decision.
come back, which obviously that's first reading, second reading, we probably ought to pull that corporal punishment policy and just address that. I don't know how we extract the policy. I don't know what our procedure is for that, but,
I would
To me, that-
just say we,
yeah, to me, that would need to be rescinded if we do that. Which,
Right.
like I said,
Well, it would have to be.
I agree, and
Yeah.
I agree in part. I totally agree with, but, okay.
Yeah. It's probably wise to just, we know it's out there, we know we're gonna look at it, and next time we're prepared to, because I wasn't prepared to think about that, so.
so
that'll
do you want
help.
to go ahead and put 6.314 on there and have it after this policy, just in case we make that decision, so we can go ahead and vote on that? Okay.
Now, that's the only, we don't have another place it's addressed, do we? Dr.
I
Van
don't
Ness?
think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Final item, approve first reading of Board Policy 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation as proposed. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second?
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments on that?
Not too much of a change here. I think that this is one that we're going to continue about every month to have a change to. But, they have building administrators or human resources staff is the change there.
You're saying this one may be a familiar friend by the time it's all said and done?
And a fickle friend.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on that?
So each building has someone designated as the human resources person?
We have there, that would be the principal, takes care
Okay.
of human
That's
resources
kinda
in
what I
their
thought.
building.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Item on the floor, approve first reading of Board Policy 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation as proposed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I contacted everybody. Our next meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, November 21st. That's Thanksgiving week. So most everybody was agreeable to move it forward the 14th. Phil, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. The only concern I had was making sure that the folks could get all the stuff in the packets and get the information, because it's a very short duration from meeting to meeting. That's the only concern that I had. I have no problem being here. I have no problem with it. It's just
So how about this? I also want to say thank you, Hannah. It's good to have you here.
Yes.
And
you.
feel free to chime in anytime during our discussions. If you have something to
you.
say, just feel free. Again, don't forget to sign the paperwork that Ms. Perkins has for us. And the next regularly scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, November 14th at 6:30 in the Mac Pierce Boardroom. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second? Second?
Second.
Thank you. Have a good evening.